everybody. I'm going to ask if you haven't grabbed your lunch yet to please hop into the line there. Grab some good food provided by the Living Room Coffee House and have a seat. We're going to go ahead and get started. We've got a great presentation today for you, and this is our second ever luncheon. So we appreciate you being a part of this with us. And without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started, and I will introduce to you our chairman of the board, Jack Schumacher. We can help me welcome him up.
Good afternoon or good morning and welcome to everybody. Thank you for attending our luncheon today. I want to thank the City of Marysville for hosting this event today. Appreciate that very much. I'd like to welcome a couple of our elected officials that are in the audience today. Mayor John Merrick, raise your hand. And Councilman Mark James, I'm sorry.
I'm there for you.
Also, we have a couple chamber members in the audience today. Corey, Corey, thank you. And Jessica and myself. Let's see. Like I said, today's luncheon is sponsored by City of Marysville. I really want to thank them for putting this event on today. It's we appreciate it very much. I'd like to welcome Mayor John Deering to talk a little bit to you about the City of Marysville.
Thank you and welcome to the second of these events. Jessica, great job putting this on, and it's great to see you all here. We really, here in the City of Marysville, we're excited about all the new businesses coming to town. We're also excited about the support we hope we're giving our existing businesses with our downtown revitalization, a lot of other things we're doing throughout the community. I won't go on and on, but you can listen to the State of the City if you'd like online and hear about the new road projects, all the new investment coming to Marysville, really unprecedented, and I think you'll find it's a great place to do business as well as to live. I also wanted to talk just real briefly during the time, so we have a pretty important measure coming up, and I'm going to have Connie come up and speak to this a little bit as well. But on your August ballot, you will see a measure that we're putting before the voters. The City Council voted on this several months ago to ask the voters to consider financing a new public safety building. Why this is important is it's been about 32 years ago, I believe, that the voters financed our last public safety building through a voted bond. And that's the one in Grove Street that you see. And that was built and it was paid off a couple of years ago, so it came off the tax rolls, so your city property taxes were reduced at that time. And we're looking at the growth in our community. I think the city was under 10,000 people when that was built. We're now at 67,000 and growing. And so you've got a jail and a public safety facility for our officers and our evidence room and all the police cars and everything that was built for a city that's nowhere near the size that we are now today. So we're finding that certainly if we want to continue to run a jail, which we believe is important to our public safety priorities, communities that don't have jails often catch and release misdemeanor offenders, which is not a great thing for businesses and not a great thing for the community to have those people have very little consequences. We don't practice that in this community, but we're fortunate because we have a jail. So our officers can run them up, check them in, and we're done with it. We also keep our officers on the road a lot longer because we have a jail. Imagine if you had to send your police officers down to SCORE in Seattle to drop someone off through all that traffic, or even to Snohomish County, and then they have to sit and wait for them to be checked in and all that. It can be 3 or 4 hours at a time that a couple officers are off the road to do that. Anyway, I could go on and on as to the reasons why you want to continue having a jail in your community. So this is one aspect of that, but even beyond just the jail, we have to properly house our police force. And right now, if you were to tour our public safety building, you would find out that we have some pretty grave concerns there around just staffing, the ability to house the staff, the growing public safety staff that we have, our officers and the rest of them. So it's a significant facility need in our community. We're going to put it before the voters. I think the council was really thoughtful from the standpoint of asking for it to be a 1/10 of 1% sales tax as opposed to a property tax. The reason for that is, had it been a property tax measure, it would have been all on the shoulders of the citizens and businesses in Marysville. This way, it says a sales tax, you're gonna have a lot of people that don't live in this community but do contribute to the expenses of the community paying for this as well. So you're splitting the cost with all those out-of-town shoppers that shop all throughout Marysville when it's structured this way. And we're very competitive with sales tax. We're at 9.1%. A lot of communities in the south are at 10, 10.1, 10.4. So there's a lot of gap there. So even if we go to 9.1 to 9.2, we're still much more competitive than a lot of cities like Everett and Linwood and Mill Creek and others. And so anyway, those are the thoughts that I would give you to consider. It'll be before the voters to consider. And we thought it was just an opportune time to have you weigh in on that. Connie, if you wouldn't mind coming in and filling in any of the details I missed. Connie's been going around and just trying to educate people on what this is about, and then we're happy to take any questions as well. Thanks, Connie.
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Connie Menny. I'm the Communications Officer for the City of Marysville. I'm here with Commander Mark Thomas from the Marysville Police Department. Really, Mayor Naring pretty much covered everything we have to say, but I'll make a couple of points again. This is going to be voted on by City of Marysville residents, so if you don't live within the city limits, you don't need to worry too much about it. The proposal is for a sales tax increase of 0.1%, and that's 10 cents on a $100 purchase. If voters approve that, it'll bring in about 70% of what is needed to build a new police station and city jail. The other 30% is would come from the city general fund and is available for that. Mark can tell you a little bit about the growth in the department and what that means in terms of housing the police department. But what we can say is when the current facility opened more than 30 years ago, our population was 1/7 of what it is today. Our police force was 1/4 of what it is today. So they've been just constantly trying to cram more people into a building that was meant for 30 years ago, and they're out of space. So that's the rationale behind this. If you have any questions, Mark and I are both available. We'll also be back there. A lot of the information we talked about is in this handout that's on your table. And there's more information if you want detail on a website that's also on here, but it's basically marysvillelaw.gov/criminal justice tax. Thank you.
Thank you, Connie, and thank you, Mayor here. It really is important to have a good safety building in the police department, and I encourage you all to vote, and I'll encourage you to vote yes. Now I'd like to introduce our guest speaker today, Andrew Ballard. Andrew is the president of Marketing Solutions. It's a Snohomish County agency that develops research-based growth strategies. He has over 3 decades of experience with specialties in marketing research, strategic planning, brand development, and advertising. Andrew has helped hundreds of organizations from startups through Fortune 500 companies achieve breakthrough growth. He's also a respected author, educator, keynote, and TEDx speaker. I hold that dear to my heart because I work with Snow Isle Libraries and we sponsor the TEDx programs, and I've seen Andrew speak on numerous occasions. He's outstanding. His articles on marketing strategy have been published in business journals through all 50 states. His book entitled Your Opinion Doesn't Matter has been endorsed in both corporate and academic circles as being innovative and insightful. Andrew is also a part-time faculty member at the University of Washington. Please help me in welcoming Andrew Ballard.
Thank you. You had the poor judgment of inviting me back 2 months after I did your breakfast. It's good to be back. No, seriously, this is really cool. How many of you saw my talk in April when I did the breakfast? A whole bunch of you. I have good news. I've got a different topic. That's always a good thing. So, anyway, I am curious, and this is only going to go about a half hour. It's not a real long talk, but I'm curious how many of you, also show of hands, have seen my TEDx talk? Has anybody actually seen it? New audience? What? Jack. Thank you, Jack. Well, good. So this is new information for everybody. I'm going to cover some of the key points of the talk, but I'm going to get into a lot more detail that I didn't have time for during the TEDx event. and actually show you how to apply the formula to your business. So, as Jack said, I'm a growth strategist. That's what I do for a living. Although, when my wife Sandra and I first started Marketing Solutions back in '97, I was a consultant. Until our biggest client shared a story that changed my perspective. The story was about a shepherd tending a vast flock of sheep alongside a country road. And this brand new Lexus SUV comes screeching to a halt right in front of the shepherd. This young guy gets out, and he's put together. He's got an Armani suit, patent Italian leather shoes, Rolex watch. He kind of saunters up to the shepherd and says, "Hey, if I can guess exactly how many sheep you have, can I have one?" The shepherd looks out at acres and acres, literally thousands of sheep, turns back to this young man and says, "All right." So this kid goes back to his brand new Lexus SUV, pulls out a razor-thin laptop and a wireless satellite uplink and a little mini high-tech printer. And he logs on to the GPS system of the NASA website, pulls down 60 spreadsheets filled with algorithms. A few minutes later, he's outputting a 150-page report. And as he's thumbing to the last page, he approaches the shepherd and says, "You have exactly 1,531 sheep." The shepherd says, "You're right. Take your prize." And so this young guy goes out in the middle of the flock, grabs the biggest animal he can find, and as he's stuffing it in the back of his new Lexus SUV, the shepherd walks up to him and says, "Young man, if I can guess your profession, will you pay me back in kind?" And the kid says, "Well, sure." And the shepherd said, "You're a consultant." And the guy was dejected. He goes, "Well, you're right. How did you know?" And the shepherd said, "Well, first, you came without being called. Second, you just charged me a fee to tell me something I already knew. It's clear you don't know anything about my business, and I would really like to have my dog back." So this really happened to me, true story. And I realized at that very moment, so we're 21 years now, so this is like 20 years ago, I realized that if that's the way my clientele views consultants, I need to reposition myself. And you'll see how that innovation applies to the formula, which I'm going to jump into right now. So essentially, the formula for breakthrough growth is kind of 3 traits of highly successful people and organizations. And the formula itself, I'm going to get in, like I said, into some detail. But the second element of the formula is a little bit more difficult to get your head around, so I'm going to offer a free white paper that explains how you can actually apply the second trait to your business, because that's the bottom line. How do you apply this? So my question is, have you ever wondered why some people and some organizations are just ridiculously successful? I mean, way, way beyond the average. I always have. It's always interested me. And from 25 years of research and working with highly successful leaders and organizations, I discovered that many of them had 3 common traits. And so I packaged them into a formula. But before we go there, we need to address the enemy in the room. This is the killer for most individuals in a career path and for business. Status quo is the enemy of success, right? And I think the reason so many people are content with the way things are and avoid change is because of fear. Specifically, the fear of failure, right? I mean, none of us want to be associated to a failed endeavor, right? But the fact is, failure is not the absence of success. In fact, literally, it is part of achieving success. So, that really makes it makes a big difference in your mindset. So I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to ask you, how would you approach life differently if you knew, without a doubt, that you could not fail? Just think about what you could accomplish and the impact you could have. I mean, on your career, your family, certainly your business. Most of you are business owners or responsible for business development within your businesses. Now, I realize that other than death and taxes, nothing in life is certain. But what I'm getting to here is that highly successful people have a different relationship with failure. It's not that they think that failure is not an option, but they embrace failure as part of achieving success. And so they approach life differently. So now that we put failure in the proper perspective, I'll share how we came upon this formula through our work. We do a lot of marketing research. In fact, we have interviewed thousands and thousands of leaders in business, government, and nonprofit organizations. Also, the work I do at the University of Washington studies the dynamics of successful and failed business ventures. And so we have a lot of data to draw from, and that's really how we came up with the formula here. And so, but before I share the formula, what the heck is breakthrough growth? Well, for me, breakthrough growth is generating a life-changing experience or accomplishment. We're talking about setting the bar very, very high here. So here's the formula. Vision plus insight plus innovation are what equal breakthrough growth. So let's break all three of those elements down just a bit. So vision. Essentially, vision is defining your preferred future. It establishes where you're going, what it is you want to accomplish. And I just killed my remote. I need to accomplish a new remote. I am sorry. The reason I need that is because the computer, do you see the other battery, anybody? Yeah, is somebody coming?
Yeah.
Oh, I need 2 AA batteries. Actually, I just need one. I found one. This guy rocks. Oh, you know what? Oh, here it is. I found it. Pardon me. This is great. By the way, did you know that I teach professional speaking? Isn't this wonderful? Unbelievable. Okay, let me read this thing. I just turned 60 years old. I'm deaf and pronounced blind. Anyway, I've lost the bottom. Oh, yeah, it is. Geez, everything is starting to go well. All right. It's all coming together. Okay, hey, thank you for your patience. Anyway, back to vision. It's about defining your preferred future, what you want to accomplish. And it should be aspirational. It's your North Star, essentially. Fearing the Soviets would win the space race, JFK announced his vision in 1961 of putting an American on the moon and bringing them back alive within the same decade. Right? This is 61, and the moon landing was in 69. We actually accomplished that. That audacious vision, people thought he was smoking crack. That audacious vision led to one of the most amazing scientific accomplishments in the 20th century. So let me give you a more down-to-earth example. And a 9-year-old girl named Kayla, who lives in Evans, Washington, not that far from here. And her vision is to help displaced animals by funding local shelters, local animal shelters. And so this young lady, with the help of her parents, started a kids' clothing line of t-shirts with animals dressed up in cute costumes. Just brilliant. It proves that you do not have to be a president or a senior executive to come up with a vision. And again, I'm going to show you how to do all this too. Next is insight. Maya Angelou said, excuse me, she said that when we know better, we can do better. And insight is about knowing better. Gaining insight involves gathering the relevant information. So in our business, we're constantly gathering information. We're researching our clients, customers, competitors, industry, etc. Essentially, we're trying to help them bridge their information gap. Recently, we worked with an IT company, and the owner was convinced that what his customers cared most about was network administration. In fact, they tried to talk us out of doing the research. I talked them back into it, and it was a good thing, because the insight that we exposed during his customer research was that they weren't worried about their networks. What kept them up at night? Their greatest fear was about security and data breaches. Now, had we developed their go-to-market strategy without that critical insight, we would have put our client on the wrong path. Now, we've all been down the wrong path before, right? Some of us, present company included, more often than not. But in business, we know when we go down the wrong path, it can be very expensive, or worse. 95% of every startup fails. So mostly because they lack critical insight. Insight puts you on the right path. Last is innovation. Something new, something special, different, first of its kind. More often, innovation is about improving on something that already exists. Either way, whether it's innovation or renovation, it's about creating a better experience. And as business people, our goal is to create a better experience for our customers, right? So I have a motto. I have a new cohort of students every quarter, and I'm employed by the School of Business. And we have a motto that we share with every class, and that is deliver value and exceed expectation. What I'm trying to impart on them in terms of soft skills is that if they deliver value and exceed expectation with their families, their career, their business, they will never wake up unemployed, right? We don't want to be sleeping in the morning because that usually means we're unemployed. So, my example of innovation is in 2007, Apple introduced the iPhone, right? A year later, they improved on that first product by releasing the 3G. Both products generated breakthrough growth for the company. And Apple, of course, is known for continuous innovation, right? But since 2007, they've developed 45 different versions of this phone. And I'm a statistician by trade, right? And so I run the math, and I figure in 20 years, they'll be releasing the iPhone 3000. Now, that's not going to happen. But my point is that innovation and breakthroughs lead to other breakthrough opportunities, right? If we want to achieve a breakthrough, we need to innovate by developing something new, special, or different. Something that sets us apart. That's the whole point, is positioning ourselves as unique. So the question is, how do these three elements work together? And is sequence important? Sequence is important. Vision inspires insight, and insight informs innovation. Visioning in business, we know we're trying to establish where it is we're going, right? Gaining insights is about conducting research. Innovation is taking that information and developing something that is new, special, or different that differentiates our company from competitors in our space. That's essentially what we're talking about here. And even though the formula works beyond the corporate model, it works for individuals, families. We've had churches apply this. It's really a ubiquitous formula. It's really not that complex to apply. So what I'm going to do now is share a business case, kind of a business study, or a case study, if you will, of how you actually apply this. And it was the first time I had ever applied the formula. So in the early 90s, when I became the executive of the local March of Dimes chapter here in Western Washington, we were not hitting our financial targets. We were actually losing money. We didn't even break even. And it was my first time as a CEO. So I spent my first 2 weeks interviewing as many people as I could to learn more about our chapter and how we were viewed. And my last meeting was at the University of Washington's hospital down at the Montlake Cut. And I went to the neonatal intensive care unit because that was a unit that we were funding. And that is where I was introduced to Baby Rose. Baby Rose was born at just 22 weeks gestation. She weighed 1¼ pounds. She was so tiny. Encouraged by the nurse, reluctantly I eased my arm through the sleeve of the incubator, and I placed my little pinky in her left hand. And she latched on like her life depended on it. I almost passed out, but that experience literally changed my life. But I realized at that moment that we needed to put the mission of the March of Dimes in the hands of our board members to turn this organization around. So we held my first board meeting as the exec at the hospital right across the hall from the care unit. And before starting the meeting, we all walked across the hall to meet Baby Rose, each of us experiencing her fragility and literally clinging to life. And Rose humanized our vision of giving every baby a healthy start in life. But we knew that we had to start being more productive and more successful in funding if we were going to continue to aspire to that vision. So we did our research, and we interviewed as many of our donors and beneficiaries as we could. And the insight that came from all of that research was to target, instead of individual donors, to target corporate donors. That's kind of normal now, but 30 years ago, that wasn't so normal. And so our innovation was a brand new corporate sponsorship package and pitch. And Baby Rose was at the center of our new story. I remember speaking, first meeting with the CEO of an insurance company in Seattle. And I shared my story about Baby Rose. We only chatted for a few minutes. He pulled out a corporate checkbook and wrote us a check for $5,000. That's the most money I've made in 2 minutes in my life. And fortunately, it really made a huge difference. But the bottom line is, within the first 12 months of this new innovation, we had increased our corporate sponsorship revenue line by over 400%. Significant breakthrough growth. I want to note, though, that we would have never have achieved that level of growth without a dedicated board and an amazing staff, right? While Baby Rose was the inspiration, it was our team that generated the breakthrough growth, right? It's all about people. We know that in our organizations. It's about people. I remember my first marketing course in college. This is really what kind of set me on this trajectory. They talked about the 4 P's of marketing. Does anybody know what the 4 P's of marketing are? It's product, place, price, and promotion. Places like location, distribution, all that. But they left out, I realized several years later, they left out the most important P. That's people. People are the ones that generate breakthrough growth. Organizations don't. Organizations are about people. So that's essentially a way of how that thing works. And as I mentioned, well, I haven't mentioned yet, but this formula works for any organization, regardless of your size or sector. It doesn't matter what your business model is. We've applied this to private organizations, those that have IPOs, Fortune 500 level companies, government. We've got 15 government clients, mostly cities. Mayor, I'm busting John's chops here. Anyway, and then a ton of nonprofits. About 20% of our clients are nonprofits. So it works very, very well. So what I want to do now is share a very straightforward, in closing, a very straightforward 3-step exercise that you can do. You can go back to your nonprofits, your government team, John and his department heads and his directors. By the way, I'm a huge fan of the Nearing family. It's great to have you here, and I really appreciate the city sponsoring this event. So, very, very straightforward process. And we start off with vision. And what I'm encouraging you to do is bring your team together and brainstorm. Essentially, you're going to brainstorm and kind of ideate what your preferred future is. Don't think too far out, like traditional strategic planning visions. Those are usually 20-year life cycles. Just look 5-10 years out, depending on the life stage of your business, and brainstorm what success looks like. Think about your preferred future, where it is you want your business to end up. I mean, it can be a financial target. It can be, more mission-oriented in terms of helping people. It can be anything, but think big. And the process is that you start by doing about a quick 10-minute round of brainstorming and get all the ideas up on a flip chart where everybody can see it, or a whiteboard. And then start narrowing down the list by consolidating and grouping similar ideas to get down to a smaller list. Then have your team do like the sticky dot votes to surface the team's favorite vision. And armed with that, you can create a very short vision statement. Really good vision statements are very short, and 10 words or less, and they're very inspiring. So that's how to do that. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to discuss the insight necessary to achieve that vision, right? The March of Dimes story, we know we weren't hitting our financial goals. So we did the research to find out where our best opportunities were to increase our funding. So you're going to do the same thing here. So what relevant information do you need that's going to put you on the right path? Essentially, you start off by, anybody know what SWOT analysis is? Situation analysis. You take a look at yourself internally. Internally, your strengths and weaknesses. Externally, your opportunities and threats. Essentially, you're assessing the health of your organization, right? The vision defines where you want to be tomorrow. The SWOT analysis defines where you are today, okay? This last step, which we get through insight, the last step, innovation, is bridging the gap between where you are today and where you want to be tomorrow. So the first, we do 4 things. The first is we do a SWOT analysis on our client. The second is that we do some industry analysis, some comparative data to see how our client, or to see how you're doing compared to your industry. Where are you outpacing your industry? Where are you underpacing? That kind of helps you understand what you need to shore up, right? That's where you start getting innovative ideas. The next 2 data sets you want to gather, and this is specifically for business, is customer or citizen data, right? We call it voice of the customer. It's just what we did for that IT company that led to innovation where they grew 200% in 6 months. It literally saved the organization. And then the last of the 4 data sets we gather is on the competition. Because your innovation needs to distinguish your business from the competitors, right? So you do your SWOT analysis internally, then you do some industry research, which by the way you can do for free, the Snow Owl Library. Click on the business tab and they have all these research resources. I'm in that library website almost every week. I love the A to Z database and I love the first research, okay? Both of those give you, first research gives you a great opportunity to get free industry reports. And these things are quarterly, they're like real-time information. It's never more than 2 months old, 2 or 3 months old. So it's the SWOT analysis on yourself, it's the industry research, then you do voice of the customer, and then you do the competitive study. Those 3 data sets will give you the insights you need to do the last step, which is innovation. So essentially, with all of that data, you're going to consider what innovation, what you can do that's kind of new, special, or different that will set you apart. So another marketing term besides the 4 Ps is called a UVP. Has anybody heard of a UVP before? It stands for unique value proposition. And all 3 of those words are quite essential. Unique, as in it distinguishes you. Value is in the audiences you're targeting value that distinction. Proposition, it's what you're communicating about the value that you bring, right? So you essentially want to do something that will give you kind of a unique value proposition. And armed with your vision as where you want to head, and with that insight based on the research, innovation will be less daunting than you think it is. It happens pretty quick. So here's the formula, what I just shared visually. I have all 3 forms of dyslexia, so I try to teach in all 3 learning styles, audio, visual, and kinesthetic. So we're going to develop our vision through that brainstorming process. We're going to gather the relevant information, gain the insight we need through research. And then our innovation is designed to distinguish us. I use the example of that IT company. They were so focused on saying, communicating how great they were at network administration. Unbelievable. Oh, somebody knows me. That is just amazing. Well, I realize this lip doesn't work very well. Oh well, that's okay. I'm actually just about at the end here. If I clicked, it would say, those 3 things lead to growth. So, in summary, I really am done, thank goodness. My goodness, I did it twice. Thank you. Anyway, so just in summary, and then we can do some quick Q&A, is first, vision, right? What's your North Star? Second, insight. What information gap are you going to bridge? Third, innovation. What's going to set you apart? So essentially, that is the formula for breakthrough growth. And how you break things, I've taught you how to do that too. But, essentially, that's the formula for generating breakthrough growth. So, still have some time left. Questions? Does anybody have any questions? Anything to do with the formula or anything to do with growing a business? I can tell I was very inspiring. Is that a hand in the back? Yeah, Carrie, I'm pointing to you. Didn't you raise your hand? Thank you. Saved by the bell.
Is there a timeline to follow? How long will this process
You mean to actually develop this whole formula? That's a really good question. The smaller the organization, the quicker you literally could do it in one day. For some of our bigger clients, because of the research, it could literally take up to 3 months. But this is not years in the making. It's, 3 days to 3 months is kind of the algorithm there. Because you're going through the brainstorming process with your team, you can do that in a 1-hour meeting. The research may take you a few days to a few weeks or a little bit longer. And then with that data, the idea of coming up with innovative ways to set your organization apart, it becomes really obvious when you have all that data. We've been very fortunate. We're in our 21st year. But it's not because we're smarter than anybody else. It's just that we gather data. We don't guess. So that was a great question. Conan is back there. He is my clicker. Thank you, Conan. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Okay, so this all makes a lot of sense. So why is it so many business people just kind of, they open up, they just kind of wait for people to come, and then they might guess what they need to offer, and then all of a sudden they're out of business?
Yeah, that's actually 9.5 times out of 10. It really is. Most people start at, and I teach, one of the classes I teach at UW is entrepreneurship. So what you're talking about really is about entrepreneurship and, the startup cycle of a business, which, most don't survive. But it is, just what you said. People get into a business, or they take the risk of starting their own business because they're really good at doing something, or they have a passion for something that they've done for somebody else. And they figure they can do it better than somebody else, right? I was in media and marketing for 15 years before I launched Marketing Solutions because I thought I could do it better. But you are correct. Without going out and getting the information, lacking that insight, and just shooting from the hip and guessing, the chances of you going on the wrong path are 10 times more likely than you going on the right path. And so those 4 research data sets, right? SWOT analysis, industry analysis, customer research, competitor research, that data will set you on the right path. I've done it 400 times for 400 different organizations. And this process works virtually every time. I know it's a bold statement, but it's really remarkable. Now, does that mean the first time you do it, you're going to achieve breakthrough? Well, maybe not. Remember, failure is part of achieving success. So you might have to go through it a couple times, but that's not bad. But your point, I don't know if there was a question in there, but your statement is 100% accurate.
The question was, why do they do that?
They just don't know. They don't know that they should do research. Most MBAs don't leave graduate school and start a business. They end up, getting into management at some other company. And it's not that the people that are starting companies aren't intelligent. They just don't understand how important research is. They assume, in fact, that's the reason for the title of my book, Your Opinion Doesn't Matter. The subtitle is, it's your customer's opinion that counts. We've been running this formula for many, many years. And they just think that what's in their mind, that everybody else thinks the same way. But that's not how it goes. So, Kona, could you click one more time? I'm going to go ahead and close out. Isn't that awesome? Yeah, I owe him. Yeah, thank you, Kona. I owe this guy more than batteries, I'll tell you that. So, I talked about the free white paper. So this is the website. This is the web page on our website. By the way, it's a private page. You cannot get to it. You cannot navigate that. Click. You are stuck. That QR code will take you to that private website where you can get this white paper. It's like a 9-page document of how to do research. It's the voice of the customer study. That's the part that's most difficult. People fear the innovation. They think that's the hardest part. But when you have those 4 data sets, the innovation, exposes itself. So click on that. The page is set up for mobile, so it'll work great on a phone. And if anybody wants this free white paper and they don't have a QR code reader, just give me your business card and I'll email it to you. So, perfect. This is it. So my question in closing is, what will breakthrough growth mean to you? Right? What's going to inspire your vision? What information gap are you going to bridge through insight? What can you do that's new, special, or different? Innovation. Well, click. I don't know. I can't answer that question. Only you can. But what I can tell you is when you add vision, plus insight, plus innovation, there is nothing worthwhile you can't accomplish. You've been a great audience. Thanks very much. Thank you, Paula.
Thank you, Andrew. I think Andrew was doing more than marketing today. He was showing us the importance of the STEM programs. He's doing a little bit of science, technology, engineering, taking things apart and putting them back together. So those are important programs that we have to be. And thank you so much for that, Andrew. I think we're still a value short, but we'll work on it.
Value added.
Now I'd like to introduce Kim Thompson. She's emceeing our networking portion of the program. Kim Thompson from Prime Lending. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you, Andrew. I feel a lot better that I don't have to have a clicker. I don't know that I can recover as well as you did. So my name is Kim Thompson, and I'm with Prime Lending. And this part of the program, we're going to do our table networking. So it's where we take 5 minutes and we pass our business cards around. Each person will get a minute to be able to give a description of their business and maybe the referral that they're looking for this week. I didn't bring my cell phone up, but let me get it to set the timer so we have that going. So if you want to get any business cards that you have or flyers out, that would be great. And we can combine tables too. If you're at a table where you don't have, 4 to 5 other people, it's okay to move around to another table. Okay, that was our final round. If you had 6 people at your table. So at this time, we would like to introduce our newest members since our last BDH. So Kim Adcock, our marketing and membership coordinator, has been really busy. We have 20 new members to our chamber. Yes, that's definitely. So at this time, I'm going to announce the members, and if you are here, if you would please join me, we'll have an opportunity to tell us about your business. So if there's a representative from PuroClean, or Galloway Law Group, U.S. Bank in Arlington, U.S. Bank in Everett, Bloom Solar, Wise Women, Dry County Distillery, Farmers Insurance, Daryl Porter. Come on, Daryl. Yeah. Steve's Window Cleaning, McAlrath and Eck, Ideal Wellness, Clean Spot Car Wash, ROI Technology Inc., First Financial Northwest Bank, Red Curtain for the Arts Foundation, Barron Heating and Air Conditioning, Tulalip Economic Development Corporation, Matters Life Coaching, The Smile Store, and Over the Top Magic. So we're going to start off with Gerald Porter from Farmers Insurance. Welcome to our chamber, Gerald.
Well, thank you again for the welcome. I had a welcome at the breakfast recently, so that was awesome. Daryl Porter, Farmers Insurance Agency owner. I'm located on Smoky Point, just south of the Raritan dealership in the Cumulus Professional Building. We're available for all of your protection needs for home, auto, life, business, commercial, rental property, financial investments, you name it. Happy to have you come by and give us a chat, and we'll see what we can do for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Gerald. And he recently joined the emissary committee as one of the only 2 other men that came on board with all of us ladies. So thank you. He was brave enough to do that as well. Hello. We have Russell.
Russell Steele, I'm with the Tulalip Tribe to New Economic Development Opportunities. The first business we're opening actually is the cannabis store Remedy up in the village. But the other thing I'm working on is we're doing a feasibility study right now in a water park. We're looking at feasibility in an RV park and also on Top Golf is something we're looking at too. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they're really high energy golf experience driving range. Very successful around the country. Steve windows cleaning because I've already used them in my house. It's 3 stories, the house, so, and they did an excellent job and really great service. So, thank you.
Wonderful. Magic too. Yeah, this is the smile that I can tell. You have a great smile.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Lynn. I'm from the Smile Store in Marysville. We just moved into the Safeway Plaza. We're opening 5 stores in Washington. I'm kind of managing the 2, Marysville and Auburn right now. We offer perfect fit dentures that are highly aesthetic and implant retained. We're working with a local dentist in Marysville to place those implants, and we have transparent pricing on our website. So we have priced all of our products well below the national average, so it is worth anybody's time if you are interested in having a free evaluation at our office. We offer that to the community. We also reach out to all the retirement homes and senior living facilities and travel to them to do adjustments and then free evaluations there as well. Thank you.
Today? You could, oh, that would be fun. We've got a little time, we don't have all those 20 people here to do it.
Could you fix my clicker?
I think I need to fix the stand, not the clicker.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but
All right, I'm already on the spot.
he's already ready to go. Okay.
I don't know if everyone can see this, but I want to ask Jen a favorite playing card.
And you,
What's your favorite playing card?
the Queen of Hearts.
Okay, I want you to reach in and pull out a card, but don't look at it. Okay. How awesome would that be if that was Queen of Hearts?
That would be magic.
Take a look. I'm not that good.
Oh, that would be really, really good. Okay.
We're going to take that 3 of clubs, put it right here.
Okay.
Whenever you want, I want you to say stop.
Stop.
Okay. And guess red or black on this card.
I guess red. Ooh, I got the Joker.
Joker, I'll try again. You miss again.
Okay, red again. You're in the red shirt. I got the Joker again.
It's a wild card. You know why?
Because I'm
I
wild.
can change it to whatever I want.
Oh my gosh. That's the 3 of clubs, but I've got the Queen of Hearts. So tell us a little bit about your business.
I
Obviously do magic. I do magic and mentalism, balloon animals. I do kids shows, corporate shows, trade shows, house parties, weddings. If you can think of kind of a party, I'm sure I can fit in there somewhere. I'm located here in Marysville, but I travel all over, at least statewide so far. So I've been Canada, Oregon, haven't gone national yet, but since magic's all over the TV now, I figured I'd throw my hat in the mix there. So, yeah, so if you guys have any kind of events, I'm sure we can work something out to where I can fit in there and not look like a clown or anything. So. All right. Well, thank you guys very much. If you didn't get my card, make sure I put it on your table or something, or else we'll have a coffee.
Thank you. So at this time of the meeting, we're going to introduce our showcase tables. And we have 2 that are here today with us. A showcase table is something that you can purchase at the BBH or the Luncheon. It's $25 for your business. You get to have a table, display things, and you also get an opportunity to talk to us on the mic. So we have Aunt Annie's Pretzels, and then we also have Marysville Modern Dentistry. So if you could join me here, Sarah. Wonderful. Hello there.
Hi there. So who goes to the Seattle Premium Outlet Mall? And yes, walking down the aisles and you smell those delicious pretzels. Yes, we do that on purpose. My name is Corey and I'm with Auntie Anne's. I'm in operations. And we have 2 stores at the Seattle Premium Outlet Mall. We also have a food truck. This is why I'm here. We've just gotten this food truck and we're going to be at many events. The Arlington Street Fair, Aquafest, we're going to be going to Taste Edmond, and there's many more. one of the wonderful things to think about is as you are having that moment of guilty pleasure, eating a pretzel or having some of our delicious lemonade, you can know that the profits are also going to support a nonprofit agency, Washington Vocational Services, where we provide employment services for persons with disabilities. So Auntie Anne's also globally, they support the Alex's Lemonade Stand Foundation, hence our lemonade, but locally, our local franchise sends profits to Washington Vocational Services. So we're looking to just get our name out there, get this our food truck out there. It's fully self-contained. We can do catering. We can bring our truck out to events. It just kind of depends on the size. So if you are interested or know of any opportunities, please come over to me, get some lemonade, have a little pretzel nugget, guilt-free, and we can chat. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sarah Watson. I am the operations manager of Marysville Modern Dentistry. We just had our ribbon cutting last week, so thank you everybody, including Kim, who was there to help us celebrate. And we've had such an amazing welcome to the community. We'd love to, continue to serve the community. So if you know anybody who needs a dentist, if you need a dentist, if the lemonade makes your teeth hurt, come see us. We're on 8836, right across the street from Higgins. I'm right where the Chick-fil-A supposedly going in. If nothing else, there's Chick-fil-A supposedly going in. And then I also have these lovely little Smile fans back there. It's hot outside. If you guys want to grab them on your way out, please feel free. So, again, Marysville Modern Dentistry. My name is Sarah Watson. I'm the operations manager.
And this is for members. If you have something, a celebration or an event or something that's coming up that you want to tell us about, or if you would like to do a kudos, like we just heard one earlier, to Steve's window cleaning. I don't know if we've got a business card drawing today, Jessica? Okay, perfect. Got it. So does anybody have anything coming up that they'd like to announce? Come right on up. Or kudos that you'd like to do for a business that you've recently worked with?
So because we are new in Marysville, we are going to have our ribbon cutting. Sorry, we're new in Marysville. We're going to have our ribbon cutting on Thursday from 3 to 5, and we have food, drink. Owner wants to be there to meet everybody and tour the clinic. The clinician will be there, so come on, stop by. We'd love to see you. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Hello, Brandon.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brandon Wilson. I'm with the Living Room Coffee House, and two things. The first thing is we've opened up a second space down on 3rd Street. We've got to use do our ribbon cutting with the mayor. Just last week on Thursday, it's called Wander Coffee Bar, and we're in the historic Cars hardware building down there on 3rd Street. We have half the space, or not all the space, just half the space. We'd love to have you come on down and get some coffee and some food. The other thing is this Friday at 6:30 at our 4th Street location, we're having a Beatles cover band, and they just really wanted to play, so we're gonna keep it free, no charge. Anybody's welcome to come. 6:30, the 22nd on Friday. You can bring the kids, you can bring your spouse, or whatever the case may be. It's going to be a fun night, and we just wanted to invite you. Thanks again.
The 4th Street location. Okay, perfect. Friday evening. So, does anybody else have any other announcements coming up? Okay, I actually have one that I would like to share with you. So my name is Kim Thompson, and I'm with Prime Lending, not to be confused with Kim Adcock, our Marketing and Membership Director for the Chamber. So Eagle Wings Disabilities Ministries is a local 501c3 here in town, and they support doing events for adults with disabilities. and they have their aviator dinner that's coming up on Friday, July 6th, and it will be during the Arlington fly-in. I have information about it, ticket prices. It is a prime rib dinner. There will be silent auction and live auction. It is a really fun time. They do sell out. So if you are interested, please see me. I have flyers with all the information on it. Great. So now, if we don't have any other announcements or kudos, we're going to move on to, well, we won't have raffle prizes today, I guess. So we're going to go ahead and go to our closing statements with Mr. Jack Schumacher.
Thank you, Kim. Okay, I want to throw out a few thank yous. First of all, this is a great venue. I love the Opera House, and I really appreciate the opportunity to hold events here and attend events here. I've been here a few times, and it's great. I want to thank the City of Marysville for sponsoring us today. And also I'd like to thank the Living Room Coffee House for catering today. Also, I'd like to thank volunteers and emissaries for the work you have put out to make this event happen today. And big thanks to all of our chamber members. And we really appreciate your membership. Finally, I'd like to tell you of a couple upcoming events. We have, of course, as just mentioned, our ribbon cutting at the Smile Store, and that's Thursday. That must be tomorrow, I guess. 3 to 5. And Marysville Farmers Market, Saturday, June 23rd at 10 a.m. Next chamber breakfast meeting is Friday, June 29th at the Tulalip Resort Casino at 7:30. Topic is State of the Tribes, and it's a great program. Hopefully you can make it to that. And Chairwoman Sakus will be making a presentation for the tribe. Once again, thank you all for coming today, and hope to see you at our next luncheon and our next breakfast event. Thank you.